Hi there, you lovely lot, and welcome into the latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel with Chudders and Clazzy Clare. I do hope that you are subscribing to said YouTube channel so that you do not ever miss an episode of the show. So, welcome in, folks. We are something along the lines of 20 days to the draft. I didn't write it down, so it's 21, 20. Apologies as this goes out on Wednesday. I haven't written that down, so we're pretty close anyway. We're getting there, but I know that a lot of draft fatigue has settled in. It probably settled in about 3 weeks ago anyway, if not more for a lot of you. I know it has a little for us, but anyway, we're bringing in the show for a bit of entertainment. So, Chudders, how are things with you?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Yeah, it's getting exciting. We're getting near the point now where we can actually get the draft pick that we've all thought about since pretty much the midway last season, let alone the end of last season. Been near 6 months of us looking at draft picks and looking at college prospects because we'd already realised that the team was going nowhere and big changes were coming ahead. So no, it's exciting to be finally getting there in the end. How are you, Claire?
No, it's too far away yet for me to be excited. I am in the draft fatigue dip at the moment. I'm just like, it's great. We've said this. I love it. I love football. I do. It's interesting. It's just there is so many times that you can say the same thing, and it's ironic because we're doing a show talking about some of the same things. Although I hope we bring you a little bit of a different flavour when we bring you Pat's Procrastination. But yeah, there is a mild fatigue simply because the one thing that's bothering me, I guess, that I wanted to ask you a bit later in the show, but we can always go back to it because I know we want to go priority list prior to going to the quarterback. But the thing that's getting me at the moment is how a lot of, I would say, media people, it's a case of, it's been for a long time, Daniels versus May. At 3, it's probably going to be Jada Daniels or Drake May. It's one of those. And there's a lot of Daniels versus May camps. I know we are a Daniels versus May camp pretty much because we tend to differ on who we would want as a priority. I know you like Drake May. You don't dislike him. I know you would be happy if they take him. But your number one choice is Daniels and my number one choice is May. So it's the sort of the attitude that's out there now of, well, if Daniels is gone, I suppose you'd get that. If May is gone, I suppose you'd take Daniels. That's the thing that's curiosity me at the moment. However, I think we should put a pin in it because I know you want to talk about quarterbacks in a little bit. The first thing you wanted to cover was your draft priority list. So, Chudders, what positions are you going to give us that are your priority in this draft?
Yeah, and this was kind of looking at the whole draft and looking at the holes that are currently sitting on the Patriots roster. Now, we did discuss last time how there is still time in free agency. You know, names like, for example, Gilmore. They could come in and think, right, that solves the cornerback position. They could still sign a left tackle. So you're really looking at, okay, young talent. What would be the good young talent to be getting in the room? So,
yeah.
For me, I think it's glaringly obvious. Number one is quarterback. I think most of Patriots Nation, I won't say all, but most, I think the majority want the Patriots to take a quarterback at 3. There's some people who like the later quarterbacks, and we'll get onto that later maybe. But quarterbacks,
you don't love Jacoby Brissett.
this is your best chance to get the young talent. For me, that's the number one requirement in the draft. That's what we're looking at in the first round. After that, it's probably tackle. In my mind, you still do not have a left tackle on your roster at all. You have to get one. So I'd like that round 2. Then looking wide receiver, there's a deep class this year. You're still going to be able to get some contributing talent, some starting talent in round 3. May not be the big X receiver that necessarily the Patriots need or the same quality you get first, second round. But there's still very good quality available there. And as Puka Nacua said, there's still some gems later on in the draft. So I'd probably be looking for wide receiver 3. Then your favourite, I would say, tight end is 4 for me. Patriots do. They've got Henry, they've got Hooper now. But I'd quite like them to get a young talent in the room. One of the later draft picks, because it's not as... It's not as full as last year, sadly, this draft class, but there are a couple of later round names that could come in and contribute, develop underneath the current scheme. Then 5th, strangely, tackle again. I'd probably sign 2 tackles in this draft.
Agreed.
One early, one later, looking to develop, maybe get some traits, some size traits. But I think there's a good chance they'll take 2 tackles, especially with the number of picks they've got currently.
Yeah.
After that, I think sneaky need is running back, because Stevenson's contract's up at the end of the season. They have 3 running backs currently on the roster, but I think getting a new fresh talent in there is a need this year. After that, edge, you did excuse me, retain a few. You still got Judon, although there's been murmurs he could be a potential trade base. He could have fallen out a bit with management. Hopefully not. But I think edge could be a need there. I don't know if Judon will still be on the Patriots in 2 years' time. I mentioned Gilmore. I'd like to see a cornerback signed one way or the other, whether that is Gilmore through free agency or whether that is picking one up in the draft. I think they're always good to see if you can sign, develop, get some in the room. And then lastly, again, these are sneaky needs, and I'm not even necessarily saying the Patriots should be drafting these. Let me make that clear. But I've put quarterback and kicker because last year the kicking wasn't great. Ryland wasn't the best. Now, I'm not saying they need to go draft another one, but I want to see a kicking competition in camp. That could be getting a veteran in, or it could be getting a UDFA kicker in that is going to compete with Ryman, maybe up his standard a bit. I'm putting that as a sneaky one, really, that I think they could well address in the draft or just after. And I've put quarterback again because as much as I preferred Zappy over Mack at the end of last season, don't think Zappy's necessarily going to be on the roster in 3 years' time either. So could there be an interest in maybe getting a second quarterback? Again, probably not in the draft. You're not going to do a Cousins RG3 kind of thing here. Maybe UDFA. But looking further down the line, getting a second quarterback at some point is probably going to be needed the next couple of years as part of that rebuild. So that's the sort of priority list I'm looking at. I think most of the positions are pretty well covered at the moment. What's your thoughts, Claire?
Yeah, I agree with you mostly. Definitely, I've been agreeing with the double dip at tackle for a while. The whole quarterback thing, no. For me, it's no. Don't. If you're taking one at 3, which is what we are cheering for, if that is what they do. If you address it at 3, I don't think it's worth wasting any time on, simply because you've got Brissett, you have got Zappy. I wouldn't mind keeping him around for this other year, to sort of see. I don't think don't get me wrong, before anybody sort of starts hate mail and everything. It's not that I think Zappy should be the starter. I just, as quarterback 3, I don't think it makes much difference. And I also, I may be wrong, I may have been remembering wrong because it's not unusual for me, but the Patriots assigned Nathan Rourke the quarterback. So they're actually, if they take a guy at 3, they've already then that would be 4 quarterbacks. They would have 4 quarterbacks at that moment. So I've got no interest this year in any sort of late. It's rare I have interest actually in later round quarterbacks, as I know that we've argued previously, not on the show unfortunately, but there's still many years to come, folks. So don't worry about that. But I'm not in on later a late guy quarterback. No. I'm not into wasting any of my time personally. No offense to any of them. For me, it's a very, very similar stack up to yourself. I've got quarterback, tackle, wide receiver, and then actually I'd probably go tackle again before I go tight end. And that's simply because of what the depth is in tackle this year versus what depth there is in tight ends. Now, if you get into their 4th pick and all the tight ends seem to be really disappearing because they're being drafted a bit higher than expected, yes, then my 4th pick would be a tight end before a second tackle. It really depends on how the board is falling, simply because you haven't got those other than obviously Brock Bowers going first and maybe Sanders going in the 2nd round. You've got a lot of guys that are very projected much later sort of thing. So I'd be happy if they could pick up one of the guys that I liked with their 5th pick, really, ideally, because then they'd get more quality at tackle, which I think is really, really important. So much so that I am willing to sort of sacrifice that tight end if necessary, because they need depth, they need quality at tackle. So yeah, quarterback, tackle, wide receiver, tackle / tight end, then tackle / tight end. And then I just want them to look at the defense. I know you've gone positional, and that's fine. I don't disagree. I'm not looking at it positionally. I'm looking at it then as what player that's still available on a defensive situation is best. So if the guy out there is a cornerback, then take the cornerback. If the guy there is an edge, then you get the edge. I'm then looking at defense as a whole, not to lump it together, but just because I want, the best player rather than the positional when it comes to that, because I think with the defense that they've got at the moment, there's pieces that they maybe could switch around a little bit. There's still picks up in free agency that we want, because I'm with you. I really wouldn't mind a little bit. Maybe it's the nostalgia in me in that particular instance, but bringing Gilmore back. So, and I think having a bit of the kind of experience and the veteranness in that room wouldn't hurt in that regard. So yes, I kind of agree with that. So for me, it's like defense as a whole for the remaining picks.
Wow. So that answers my next question. You're only drafting one tight end.
Yes, pretty much.
This is a far more disciplined Claire. I mean, it helps, like you say, with a slightly thinner draft class than last year. Yeah. But no, I'm impressed. Okay, so should we move on to quarterbacks then? Obviously, the biggest need. This is a debate we've had offline now for probably about 6 months, but I think it's probably time to unleash it on the world. So let's start off with Drake May, I think. Well, if I suppose, to be fair, we should start with Caleb Williams. We shouldn't spend too much time because in reality, I think everyone knows he's going number 1 to the Bears. He's a great quarterback. He's had a great couple of years at USC, won the Heisman. And he is a sort of Patrick Mahomes kind of player. He's a bit more freelance, making plays on the move, using his feet, moving out the pocket. And he's a mobile threat. He's not necessarily an athletic threat with his legs. It's probably a fairer way to put that. I think he's going to be an exciting pick for the Bears, but I'm fairly certain that's the way it's going. I can't see the Patriots trading up into the number 1 spot because I can't see they're going to give up the capital to get there. And to be honest, even if they offered it, I can't see the Bears accepting it. I think they're in a position now where they're going to take Williams at number 1, but it's worth listening to the quality he has there. Then obviously number 2, that's the pick I think that the Patriots fans are anticipating now to see who the Commanders are going to take as to who they're going to leave for the Patriots, really. There's been a lot of back and forth. Some people who were very convinced for a long time that May was going to go to Washington. Then more recently it's been Daniels, but now after the pro days, people think that maybe May's stock has risen again and maybe he's the number 2 pick. I think it's a matter of flavour more than quality. I think both Daniels and May are outstanding blue chip quarterbacks in this draft. It just more depends on what sort of offense maybe you're looking at, what traits you're looking for. You're looking for the more athletic build, more of a threat with your legs quarterback, or are you looking for slightly more of a pocket passer? But even then, May is no slouch with his legs. He can do some damage, like Allen can as well. So I mean, at the moment, it's hard to pick which way Washington are going. I think with Kingsbury, he's probably more likely to be interested in Daniels, but we shall see. So that let's go into May and Daniels now in a bit more depth, I think. So May's your favourite.
Yes.
Tell us about May, what you've seen, what you like.
Oh, well, when you asked me, he's like the biggest one out there other than Joe Milton. He's a big, burly quarterback. And I know that I haven't been shy saying that that's what I want to see. You want that kind of presence. I don't want a little skinny, scrawny quarterback who's just running around and not making throws and stuff like that. And I know that we've argued off air like this. And anyway, yes, Drake May. He ticks most of the boxes, but I know there aren't all of his strengths and stuff like that. Like you said, he's not stationary. He's got a decent arm. We're at a time where people have said all the good stuff about Drake May, and then they've said all the bad stuff about Drake May, and it just depends on where you're gonna fall in the middle or whatever. But yes, he's my favourite, so he is who I would hope. The thing that frustrates me is that whole Washington thing of we are waiting to see who Washington take more so than we are waiting to see who the Patriots take, because whichever one you're sort of hoping it's the latter sort of thing. And the frustrating thing is, are the Patriots doing that? That's the thing that's got me at the moment, is please tell me the Patriots aren't sitting there going, well, we'll have whichever one they don't want. I want them to want one and take the one they want, but that might be out of their hands. This is where I've got the frustration now. This is where my draft fatigue comes in, is that it isn't about who the Patriots are going to take. It's about who the Commanders are going to take. But I digress. So, sorry, yes, your positives on Drake May, Mr. 6'4", 225-pounder.
Well, to touch on what you, I get what you mean in that they shouldn't just be taking whoever's left for the sake of. But the point is, they don't have control over who they're taking. Like I said, they could offer the moon to Chicago, and I think they'd take it. You could be in a similar position with Washington, that you could offer them 3 first-round picks, but they're not interested in taking who they perceive you're going to take. If they think you're very high,
they might take JJ McCarthy.
They might.
If you're listening to everybody, they'll take JJ McCarthy because he's amazing and he's moving up the board. That's not what I'm saying, folks. I'm mocking a little bit.
I've got no interest in him. But you don't have that control. So I don't think it's worth to kind of counter what you're saying. I don't think it's worth assessing these, and we'll say 2 because we're eliminating Williams from this debate. Really,
yes, we are.
There's no point assessing these 2 in great detail and saying, right, I've given, I don't know, let's say a score out of 100. I've given Drake May 92 points out of 100 in my score, and I've only given Daniels 89 points. Therefore, Drake is a man. I only want Drake May. There's no point doing that, because you don't have that control to do that. Really, he's gone. You have to grade them, and it's because it's the same for every single position. Every single position. You could be sat at 6 going, I want Malik Neighbours, but he's gone. You don't have that control. You have to assess every single player. You have to put your own value on them. That's why everyone's charts are going to be different. A lot of people have MHJ as the number 1 person on their depth chart or on their board this year, because they'll see he is the individually greatest talent, and that's not necessarily me saying that. That's what some teams will think, because they don't have a need at quarterback, so they don't have Williams or May or Daniels as their number 1 on the draft boards. So you have to assess these players individually. You have to assess, do I want Drake May on my roster? And then, as a completely separate question, do I want Jaden Daniels on my roster? And then you have to sit and wait for whoever's left and say, right, do I want Daniels? Do I want May? Yes, no. If you've assessed them and you've thought, no, I don't like Daniels' traits, I don't want that style of quarterback, that's not for me, I'm trading down, or I'm taking JJ. But you have to assess whether you want that player or not. I don't think you can just say, right, this is the guy I want, it's him or bust, because that you don't have the control in the draft to be operating like that.
No, I mean that's.
I agree. If you've assessed him and you don't want him, then don't take him just because he's the only one there. But I'd also like to think, with what we've seen on tape from last season, seasons before, from what we've seen at the pro days, from interviews, from demeanors, both privately, which obviously you and I have not sight of, but also the media opportunities that these quarterbacks have done, that there's enough good on tape, as well as not enough negatives on tape, should we say. There's not, great crimes or great injuries like there could be for Penix we'll get onto later. That there's no massive red flags that go, well, that's the reason I wouldn't take this one.
No,
So,
mine's purely.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go on.
No, my choices are really more that sort of. They are more emotional than they are logical, which I know you taught me for all the time. But I watched both of them. I mean, you sent me all the YouTube things and everything like that. I did. I genuinely watched both of them, and I know that they are both really good quarterbacks. It's that isn't what I'm denying. It's just I watched Drake May, and I don't know. I enjoyed watching him play more as well, and I just felt he would be a good fit. So he's just. There'll be people out there screaming, "How can you pick him over Daniels?" And I get it. I fully get it. But he was just my guy. And then I get very stubborn, so then I won't change it. I do feel like I'm being talked into Daniels. So if that's how it happens on the night, I don't think I will be very happy. I'm sure eventually I'll come round, but I do feel like right now, particularly the way it stands, because I like May and you like Daniels, I do feel like it's I'm just being talked into it because I don't want them to not take a quarterback because of how important it is right now.
But on that, I will understand if 10 minutes past when Washington are picking, if they take Drake May, I understand why you'll be gutted because you'll know the Patriots not taking him.
Yeah.
Once you've got through 9 minutes of that while waiting on, Patriots are on the clock. When you've got through that disappointment of, well, the Patriots definitely aren't getting the man I want. How is your emotion likely to play out with, right, if there's a ding dong, the pick is in. Are you hoping that the name they read out is Daniels? Or are you hoping, okay, they've decided to go MHJ, Joe Alt?
Probably.
The ding that the Patriots have made a pick.
Probably still that they've taken Daniels because they need that quarterback. And I've heard a lot, I've seen a lot. He's not a bad quarterback. So there'll be an element of me that's like, oh, good, they took a quarterback. But I'll still be getting over the whole, I won't be as ecstatic as I maybe would have been had like Drake May not been an option, for example. Say like if there was no Williams, we knew May was going one. So there was no chance the Patriots could get May, even though I liked him. Then that's different. When the Patriots take Daniels, it'd be like, oh yeah, they took a quarterback. If that's the case, and it'll be the Washington take May, I'll still be in the by the time the Patriots pick is in and they take Daniels, I'll be like, yay, whatever.
So if May's gone 2, will you be hoping the Patriots take Daniels?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Or will you be hoping there's a ding Patriots have traded?
No, I think I still want them to take that quarterback. It's just he isn't the one I want to see. He isn't the one I want. And it's not because I don't think he's good. It's because he isn't the one I want. That's two separate things.
But in that point, you didn't have a chance at the one you want. I would get it if, let's say, JJ McCarthy goes to Washington, and then the Patriots are sat, they've got the choice. Yeah. And they've chosen to go Daniels.
I'll be gutted.
Understand. Yeah, I understand when you have your favourite. I understand why you'd be gutted. But when they don't have a choice,
I'll just still be gutted from the fact that they don't have a choice. Dude, it's an emotional roller coaster. We all know you don't have one, okay?
I'm angry with you now that you shouldn't be getting angry they don't have the choice, because if they'd lost some games at the end of last season, they could have made.
Oh no, not this. People don't want to hear this argument.
You didn't want the choice. I was happy for them to lose and have the choice of whichever quarterback they wanted, but no, you were
I couldn't cheer for a win. I told you it wasn't in my genetic makeup.
Cheer for a loss, yeah. So Drake May, I do like him.
That's what I meant.
I thought his pro looked better than Daniels did. He was making some slightly more complex throws, should we say? But looking at purely the mechanics, it still slightly worries me. He hangs the ball out a bit. There's a bit of a slower wind up. Now he delivers the ball well, but I do have a fear that some edge defenders, particularly, it could be a fresh O-line for the Patriots. Sorry, are going to get round and going to swat that ball away. I hope not. But his mechanics, I think he's still young. He's 21. He can be tidied up. These things can be worked on. That's one of the pros of him over Daniel's a couple of years older.
I was just about to mention that.
Mechanics do not look as pristine as they do with Daniels. But I did like watching the tape of Drake May on his pro day. It looked good, albeit shorts and a t-shirt with no defense to the receivers you've been working with for years. It should look streamlined and perfect. If you can't do it then, you're not going to do it in a competitive game at the end with edge defenders staring you down in the face and you have beyond a cornerback.
That's why I like the combine a little bit more, just because although it's not much more because they do the same thing, at least they're in a different environment. They aren't in their own comfortable place, if you see what I mean. They are mixed in with other guys and they've got other people around, so it's that, not much, granted. I know people push back on this, but the combine just gives you that little extra, taking them out of what they're used to and mixing them all in, sort of thing. Because when some of these guys get to the NFL, as we know, as we've seen like in years gone by, there's kids that are really good in college and as soon as they get in the NFL they are not really good anymore.
No, I agree. But obviously May and Daniels didn't throw at the combine. No. We didn't get to see that comparison. We didn't get to see them out of the comfort zone. That's why I prefer looking at the tape more than pro days.
Yeah.
Reality.
I like watching the times on the combine. It's a very enjoyable Saturday for me. Anyway, moving it along to your favourite, Jayden Daniels. So come on, Chudders, dazzle us with your Daniels knowledge.
So to touch back on what you said on watching the tape and which one impressed you more, that's where I'd say I was a bit more emotional in as much as
you emotion.
I thought Daniel's tape sparkled far more than May's did. But that's aided by the receivers that he had at LSU. It's aided by 80-yard runs and things that you don't trait as highly, should we say, in your quarterback play. And so I thought his tape, his bombs down the field, his tape was more explosive than May's was. And so that's why the tapes impressed me when you're looking at the highlights. Now, I look at lowlights and interceptions and the bad tapes as well as the good. But when you're looking at the highlight tapes, I thought Daniel's tape sparkled far more. So I'm surprised almost that you were more impressed by May's tape than Daniel's.
I didn't see. You always take what I say out of context, that I don't put value in that and that I like it. No, I told you this. It's an emotional thing. That's the guy, and then that's who I like. That's just how it works. I just enjoyed watching him more. For me, you're gonna make me say it, fine, whatever. For me, I said this to you, Daniels looked too much to me like he dipped into the well of tucking it and run, not making full reads, sometimes, obviously not all the time, and running, and that concerned me. He's sort of what's the word I'm after? He seems to fall back on, I think Dave said dip into the well all the time. It felt like does he fall back on not throwing and running too often, and that concerns me. And to that end, that is a trait in a quarterback I don't enjoy watching as a fan. So it's got nothing to do with he's not sparkling. I don't think he's good. I like Drake May plays football more, because the comparisons, the comps at the moment are Drake May is like a poor man's Josh Allen. They keep putting him towards, and Jayden Daniels is a poor man's Lamar Jackson. Similarity. I enjoy watching Josh Allen play football more than I enjoy watching Lamar Jackson. Now, granted, these guys could be nowhere near those guys, or they could exceed them. We don't know. But doing the comps, I would still be that way. That's what I enjoy. Now, that's got nothing to do with anybody else. That's just my fandom, how I feel. So that's why I'm more so taint towards that. It's not a throwing shade on anything that Daniels does or say that I don't think he does that right or whatever. It's just that's where I want to go. That's what I enjoy watching. That's the football fun for me. completely different for you, and that's not right or wrong. That's just personal preference.
That absolutely fair, and it's backed up by the stats that average per game, Drake May would throw the ball 35 times per game last year, and Daniels would throw 28 times, 27.7, 28 times. So May is throwing the ball 8 times more than Daniels was. Rushing attempts, Jaden Daniels was averaging 11 rushing attempts per game. May was averaging 9 attempts per game. So yes, Daniels more, not significantly more. And to put that in context, Penix was averaging 2 rushes a game. So,
oh wow,
yeah. Overall, because I liked crunching a load of stats here on this, so I created a game numbers spreadsheet here for me. So it equated out to, per game, Drake May was attempting 45 plays per game, whether that's passing or rushing. He was attempting 45 plays per game last year. Jaden Daniels was attempting 39 plays per game last year with his legs or passing. With that, now, this is where you can argue. May did not have the same weapons that LSU and Daniels had at LSU. So I appreciate the comps are not exact. But with those attempts where May was averaging at 6 attempts more than Daniels was, May was making a combined, through his legs, through the air, an average of 338 yards per game. Daniels was making 412 yards per game with less attempts because he was more explosive with his legs, and he was arguably throwing to better receivers downfield as well, resulting in an average of 2.8 touchdowns a game for May and 4.2 touchdowns per game, whether that's with legs or arm, for Daniels. Yard per play, 7.6 for May and 10.6 for Daniels. Now, I've possibly sent people to sleep with those stats and reading them rather than showing them. But to me, it was showing Daniels is more of an explosive quarterback. I personally like the thought that the Patriots could be backed up on their 1 yard line, and through Daniels' arm, he could throw a bomb down the field for a touchdown. With his legs, he could run 99 yards for a touchdown. There wouldn't be a fear of we're backed up. I'd be thinking anything can happen here. We could get a first down. We could get a bomb. We could get a touchdown from this play. I like that excitement, that hope in every single play. Now, that's not saying necessarily May can't do that, but I was just exploding with excitement from watching Daniel's Daniel's tape, as to how that was showing up.
No, I'm not denying anything, because obviously you've just given stats and you can't deny the numbers anyway. I'm not denying that he's any of those things and any of those things are positive. You've just asked me for my fan opinion, and for me it's I want May over Daniels. It's not always the most logical of reasons. It's a mixture of, you know, his skills, his highlights, what he is good at, versus obviously the things that I didn't like in Daniels, which obviously we touched upon. I'm not taking into consideration the things that are good about him. You're just asking me which one I want to pick, and that's the one I want to pick, sort of thing.
To change it slightly, because you're May over Daniels, I'm Daniels over May, but I love May. I'd love it if the Patriots signed May. If McCarthy goes to, and the Patriots have the choice and they take May, I'm going to be thrilled that the Patriots take May over Daniels. Yeah. I really like May. Why do you not like Daniels?
I didn't say I didn't like him.
Why you don't have that?
I'm just less excited.
You don't have that same enthusiasm. You're almost taking Daniels.
Okay. Yeah, but nor does a lot of people.
Want to. You just know they should do. Is the feeling I get, and I may be wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
But
so
you listen.
You off about Daniels?
You listen to Patriots Unfiltered, and several of them are like May, but they'd take Daniels. It's the same kind of. I literally was mirroring that. I like May, but I'll take Daniels. That's just how it is. It isn't that I don't like him. It isn't that I don't want him. If he is who is there at 3, yes, I still want the Patriots to take him. But no, I won't be as excited because I want them to take May. That's as simple as it is.
Excellent.
And now we've run out of time talking about quarterbacks.
We've smashed it on quarterbacks, haven't we? I think JJ McCarthy. I've watched his tape. I've got no interest. I know there's not. I've just got no interest in JJ McCarthy, whether that's at 3 or whether it's they trade down and they were looking at 11 or even 23. I've just got no interest in him. I really hope that that's not the route the Patriots go. I don't want McCarthy. Similar for Bo Nix. I think he's a system quarterback. He's not a bad player. I've got no interest in him. Penix, have some slight interest. He's a distant sort of fourth. You want to go Williams, Daniels, May. Penix is the fourth one, but he's quite a lot further down. I like his throwing. I like his abilities. I think he's a very accurate passer. And I think he could actually be more of an athletic threat than he actually has been with Washington. I just have the big concern over injuries. And
I have a question then.
Go for it.
For you about him that we could probably close the show on, actually. What are your thoughts on this no attention to Penix? The whole, the Patriots aren't being overtly in on him because people are saying, because he's just not on their board and that's it. And others are saying, it's a smoke screen. They really want him, so they're trying to throw everybody off. I think that's a little bit crazy, Kirsty, but, I wanted to ask you your thoughts. I think we'll close the show on that. What's your thoughts on that whole situation?
I am more critical of the media who are saying it. Because it wasn't that there was no attention. I think the Patriots sent 4 players, to watch him. Was it just one?
One scout went to Washington. As far as I know, people can correct us.
Be wrong.
One scout went to Washington.
I know that one scout went from Daniels to Washington, but my understanding was there were 3 other people he met there for the Patriots. And I may be wrong.
No, I don't know now. No.
I may be wrong with this reporting. Breaking news, I don't know. But my understanding was...
It's good we don't do breaking news, isn't it? Because we just get it wrong.
That there were 9 who went to Daniel's Day, and then there were 8 of that 9 that then went on to Drake Mays.
Yes.
The one, is it McAdoo? I can't remember who it was, but the one who went on to Washington met with 3 others from the Patriots, and so they had 4 there. Now I may be wrong with that, and it may be a lot less.
Sorry, folks.
But it's not that they sent nobody, and I fully understand when you've got pro days at the same time. I totally understand. Drake Mays is far more important than Penix is in my mind, because that's who you could be picking at 3, and it's indicating more that they're going to be taking a quarterback at 3 than it is necessarily anything against Penix. The other thing is you've got plenty of tape, like we've just discussed. In reality, it's nice to watch pro days, but they make up maybe 1%. The throwing that you see in a pro day is going to maybe make up 1% of your final decision in reality, because everything you've seen on tape is far more important. The interviews, the conversations you have with these players are far more important. And I fully believe the Patriots will have interviews with Penix. I know he released a list that showed the Patriots weren't on it, but that doesn't mean that's the final list. We still got, like you said, 3 weeks till the draft. I would be very, very surprised if they have 0 interest. Now, it could be they've seen his medicals and they have no interest in him because of his medicals. I don't think it's going to be because of his character or because of what they've seen in tape and his play. He's just taken Washington to the championship game. I'm not having the sensationalist view that others are, that they've got no interest. I don't think it's that they're showing no interest. I think they showed more interest in May. I would have been more disappointed if they'd have, say, only had 4 people at Drake Mays, because I see that's the man you should be assessing far more heavily when they're at the same time. If Penix's pro day had been 3 days later than Mays, I said, okay, then now it's surprising you've only sent 1 person to review him. But they were at the same time, so I totally get it. I think it's been a bit sensationalized, purely for talking heads, probably.
I'm wondering if age is factoring into any of this, because I know how there's the handful of quarterbacks who are, few years older, because the Patriots are in their situation where they are, for want of a better phrase, rebuilding. And how important is it for them to have that quarterback that they feel they're going to get more out of? They feel that they can mold a little bit more, who's got that little bit more time. Because I know they mentioned, and I think it was on Patriots Unfiltered, that the guys like Penix and Daniels, that little bit older, they're reaching their peak now. They aren't necessarily going to develop particularly size, athleticism wise, more so than the likes of May, just as an example, with the youth, that kind of thing. And they're looking at it as, we aren't a 1 year and done this year because we've got so much to do. And would having that younger guy, that we have that little bit more molding ability, that little bit more time, be something that's very key to them. Now, of course, like everything that I say, you poo-poo it, and it probably isn't, but it's just something that's there, that it's sort of, they're looking at that bigger picture and trying to factor in every small detail to make sure it all works out. However, we can't listen to your answer because we have run out of time. So you can't poo-poo my ideas now, because the show needs to be done. So no, seriously, go on, which is what you were saying.
No, like you say, start to draw lines under that now. I think we're both hoping they take a quarterback at 3, slight preferences over who that would be, but ultimately, so long as they take one of these quarterbacks at 3, we're going to be happy people. Well, certainly I am, even if you're grumpy that Daniels is wearing a Patriots shirt next year.
I'll be grumpy.
I'm going to wear one. I'll wear a number 5 red throwback jersey just to annoy you every week that they've drafted him.
Funny thing is, the best thing is it won't really annoy me. You knock yourself out. But yeah, that is. I guess that is it for the quarterbacks. Quick show notification, program schedule notification. We won't be with you next week, folks, but we will be bringing you some pre and post draft shows. So we will be bringing you kind of after the first day of the draft, and then thoughts after the draft. So I do hope that you will tune in and listen to what we've got to say. Obviously, it's not breaking news. It's never breaking news over here, but we'd like to bring you some entertainment. And don't forget to be rating, reviewing and subscribing. And please leave comments on the YouTube channel, potentially positive, nice, constructive criticism is accepted. But yeah, we love to know your views on this matter. If you're a JJ McCarthy guy, girl, why, sort of thing, that kind of thing. Where do you
why please explain just why.
Respect. No, we'd love to know the viewers' comments. So yeah, please do kind of get involved, and we would love to hear what views that you have and what you'd like to see out of the show, that kind of thing. Because as we bring ourselves up to, obviously after the draft, to the new season, we will be bringing you the show in season game recap, as we said, and I think we're going to develop it a little bit more to not just game recaps, because we found that there's sort of more to talk about as well. So yeah, do please rate, review, subscribe, leave us some comments, and we hope that you will tune in next time. So keep your eyes on the socials for when the next episode will be. If you're subscribing, you'll get notified anyway by YouTube. But yeah, thank you very much. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Tune in next time. And as always, go Pats.
Love you, Gran. LFG.